Greetings one and all, my name is Lancer and welcome to the Winter 2025 Bingecap. This is winter, right? Yes, the first Bingecap of the year. Again, if you're not familiar, my Bingecap is my binge recap of the stuff I chose to watch for the Winter 25 season. And this one was fairly packed. Though to be honest, I am finding myself watching less and less stuff as the years have gone on. But to be fair, there is a good amount of stuff to still talk about. And how these normally work is I start with the stuff that I didn't really like that much or either didn't really watch a whole lot of, and then would get more and more into the stuff I actually enjoyed. So let's get right into it. First of which, we'll start with some stuff that I didn't really watch a whole lot of, which actually there's a fair amount of that. We'll start with this one. I have a crush at work. Co-workers Yui Mitsuya and Masugu Tateshi are the last people anyone would expect to get along, especially with their constant office quarrels. However, looks can be deceiving. They are actually dating. Afraid to lose the peace of their professional lives, Yui and Masugu play up their discord even more to ensure nobody discovers their secret. As awkward situations and close calls pile up, the risk of Yui and Masugu's co-workers catching on increases. Keeping up the pretense is not easy, but with each new day, the relationship only grows stronger. It's a fine show. I watched like an episode and a half of it, I'll be honest. The relationship is kind of steamy. I feel like this would have worked better as a hentai. It's just one of those shows where it's just like, it's not really anything special from a visual standpoint. It's just kind of like feel-good romantic stuff, but even then it's not anything at least interesting to me. I'll leave it at a simple 3. Not necessarily because I think it's that bad. I just think it's not that interesting, really. A 3 on Mal is like, oh, it's very bad. But no, I wouldn't say it's very bad. I just personally did not care to watch a whole lot of it, and I'll just leave it at that. Moving on to other stuff. This one, I may be a guild receptionist, but I'll solo any boss to clock out on time. I'm not gonna bother reading the recap of this one because you've probably watched this show because you have seen art of this girl. Having only watched the first 2-ish episodes, that is the entire show. It basically is that. This girl, she lives the life of this receptionist in this fantasy world, but she actually is like this executioner, like super powerful girl who lives like the double life, which is where the title comes in. I want to clock out of work, so I'll beat the fucking boss or whatever. The show's entire soul and personality comes from the main girl. Honestly, I was surprised that there were other characters in this show because I couldn't be asked to care about them because I barely cared about the main character. Honestly, you could consume this show through its supplementary artwork of the main character, and that will be that. I'll leave it at a 4 just because my stoic ass just couldn't be asked to care. And that's just where I'm at nowadays with a lot of this kind of stuff. And next one, Momentary Lily. Robotic invaders wiped out all life, but Renge, whatever, fights to survive using her powers. With no memory, she roams the city until she meets 5 other young women, each with unique abilities. Together, they make the most of their lives, cooking delicious meals between battles with mechanical monstrosities. As they uncover secrets of their powers and pasts, they find the strength in their friendship. If you've heard anything about this show, it is the plank scene. Because to be fair, that is what got my attention as well. I mean, other than that, this show got my attention because it's by the same studio who did The Girl I Like Can't See Without Her Glasses show, which I did actually really enjoy. It's nice to see that they're getting up to good things with their time and not making more of that show. I mean, it's kind of Sailor Moon, Power Ranger-esque with just this team of girls who does stuff, but it's interesting that the rest of the world is just dead. Again, I've watched the parts of this show. I consumed it for the plot, not the plot. Animation was interesting. Like, it's mainly the art that this studio excels at. Other than that, it's fine. Honestly, I wouldn't recommend watching it any slower than 1.5 times speed. The swimsuit episode pulls no punches because it's just every 2 seconds something's jiggling or there's an angle. If you're into lewd shit, just watch the swimsuit episode. As I'm getting older and older, I can't use that as an excuse anymore, especially since I'm about to be 23. So maybe don't do that. I shouldn't make this video. If you're into lewd stuff, just watch it. 4 out of 10. Next one, Zenshu. Basically, Mappa is being meta. It's about this girl who works on being an animator. She's never been in love, but her next thing's a romance thing, and then all of a sudden she gets whisked into the world that she made. This show is beautiful. I mean, it's Mappa. Ironically, I think this might be like their breather show before going into more Jujutsu Kaisen or Vinland Saga. I could probably find myself enjoying this show. It's just, I'm at a point in life where if it doesn't immediately hook me, I'm kind of just not interested. I'm sure a lot of people really enjoyed this show. Style-wise, it's nice. It's interesting interesting seeing Mappa take on a show that's like kind of isekai, like fantasy like this, because a lot of their stuff is more gruesome, more brutal stuff like, you know, Attack on Titan, Chainsaw Man, Vinland Saga, Jujutsu Kaisen. I'm interested to more watch a recap of this than the actual show itself. For the sake of it, I'll leave it at a 6, which is me being generous. Just because for me, I didn't really enjoy it that much, but people can enjoy it if they decide to watch it. All right, now we're gonna get into more of the stuff that I really enjoyed this season. I'll talk more about something that I haven't fully finished yet, but I did enjoy. That, of course, being Toilet Bound Hanako-kun Season 2. Now, for me, it's been, I think, close to like 4 years now since I watched Season 1. I mean, Season 1 came out in 2020, so it's been 5 years since Season 1, which I know that there's been other stuff, I think. There's like some other spin-off stuff that came out, which I didn't watch. I probably should have, but to be fair, I probably should have refreshed myself on Season 1 before going into this, because I found myself jumping into Season 2, and I was just like, I remember the main characters, but then all the other characters that were coming, I was like, who are you again? But quickly, I found myself being back into the spin and fun of the show. I've only watched about 7 episodes so far. I really love the style that it has. It's unique. It feels just like you're reading a storybook about these spirits and just these legends. I will say this season has been the season that's started to really lean into the romance between Yashiro and Hanako, and I think it's been interesting so far. It's just a fun show. I think that it'll be fun to have both Season 1 and Season 2, to watch both of those back to back. I don't know if Season 2 is supposed to be the end. It probably isn't. Definitely, if you're going to watch it, rewatch Season 1 and then watch this again, or at least like refresh yourself, because yeah, as someone who's not super up on it, I found myself being lost a lot of the time with the characters and the plots, but you know, it gets you back in the swing of things. It explains stuff well. So far for Season 2, I leave it at an easy 7 out of 10 so far. Again, I haven't seen all of it yet, but of what I've watched so far, it's fun, and it's just, yeah, a fun show. Next up, Medaka Kuroiwa is impervious to my charms. Basically, it's a story about this girl who basically everyone in her life treats her as just this princess. There's no room she can't enter where she's not the center of attention. She's this great Gyaru character, but yet there's this one boy, the Medaka Kuroiwa, who seemingly is impervious to her charms, who when she talks to him, he's just like, oh, hey, what's up? And that has activated her pride, and she's just like, no, I will make you fall for my charms. But deep down on the inside, this guy, the charms are actually working. It's just he's so zen and stoic because he's the descendant of like a monk family. So on the outside, he seems immune, but really it is affecting him. And really, it's this back and forth thing where she's trying to get him to fall for her, and in the process, she ends up falling for him. And then there's this other girl, Asahi, who comes into the play, who actually is in love with him, and then it's this love triangle. And then it eventually comes to fruition where it's just like, oh shit, I do love him. Fuck. I will say, once we finally got into the love triangle side of things, that's where I actually found myself being more interested in the show. Because I'm not gonna lie, I found myself rooting for Asahi more than the main girl, even though I can guess where that's gonna end up. Despite how it handles itself, I found myself interested in the romance. I don't know. I mean, I'm a romance guy at the end of the day. I like it. And though this show doesn't necessarily do anything new, at least conceptually, I liked it. I mean, it is kind of following in the footsteps of My Dress-Up Darling, just in the sense of this Gyaru character and kind of this other guy who's not into all of that. And then just like the girl falls for the guy initially. Like, what's the guy thinking? I don't know. Then there's this other girl who's making it all complicated. I had a fun time with this show. You know, every time there was a new episode, I was like, oh, cool. Let me put that on as I read my manga. I leave it at a simple 7 out of 10. It didn't completely blow me away. I did find myself fast forwarding through some stuff, but at the very least, I was intrigued. I found myself interested every time I watched a new episode. It was cute. Style was nice. It's made by Studio Synergy SP, who has done stuff such as Girlfriend. I may find myself going into the manga of this at some point, but we'll see. Next up, another romance. I mean, the rest of these are kind of romance-esque, but we have Okitsura. Fell in love with an Okinawan girl, but I just wish I know what she's saying. Good lord, these titles. When Teruaki Nakamura transfers to laid-back Okinawa, he falls for the lively Kian-san, but her dialect is a complete mystery to him. With Higa-san translating, Teru's misunderstanding-filled island life takes off, and subtle hints suggest Higa-san might want his heart too. On the serene island, love flows as freely as the ocean breeze. This definitely felt like one of those shows where, you know, a gateway for people obviously who don't live in Japan to see different parts of this. I mean, I've always seen stuff like in how Okinawa is portrayed. It's, you know, Okinawa is like the Hawaii to Japan, where, you know, it's part of the same country, but, you know, it's kind of like this different world, this islander life, and just this guy who's come from from the city and now is a part of it. I will say, despite the description hinting at a lot more romance, like though it's there, it's not really super romance heavy. Like a lot of it is mainly the girl Kanahiga, who weirdly on the cast list, she's shown as like the top character, which even though the main guy is openly in love with Kian, the girl who he can't understand, you know, a lot of it is the girl is Higa playing the in-between. Like she's the translator. But it's not really till like the last 2 episodes where it's really just like, oh yeah, the romance. The main girl, Kian, is like, oh my god, does the main guy actually like me? And then Higa, of course, getting the short end of the stick. It's one where honestly I have no idea where something like this could go. I could have seen this being like a 1 season done thing. But I mean, it's one of those things where, especially where the season 1 ends, it's like, oh, the guy finally starts thinking about like, wait, do I like both of them maybe? And then it's one of those where it's like, I don't really need to see the long term of this show. I can sort of see where it can go. I can fill in the gaps myself. I don't need to see it. This show is very beautiful, I will say. It has a very distinct style and it makes you feel just like, oh yeah, island. Honestly, this show probably would have been better if it came out during the summer instead of the dead of winter. Just because I mean, just like, oh yeah, I kind of want to go to the beach, go to the islands, but it's like, nope, it's cold as fuck right now. I don't want that. Style-wise, I liked it. A little bit of the spicy romance that's only in like a couple scenes here and there. Made me interested in Okinawa. I would love to visit someday. Honestly, I give this show a fine 8 out of 10 for style alone. Definitely recommend it. And all right, next couple ones. 3, 4 more. Okay. I had more to talk about than I thought. We'll do this one next, just because I feel like I'll get shit if I talk about another one later than this. I'm getting married to a girl I hate in my class. There's only one person that high school student Saito Hojo truly cannot stand, and that is his temperamental classmate Akane Sakuramori. The two have always been on bad terms. Their contrasting views and personalities only lead to endless fighting. However, everything changes when Saito's grandfather and Akane's grandmother arrange a sudden meeting and insist that the two get married. They are quickly coerced into accepting the ridiculous plan and move into a shared house as husband and wife. Although Saito and Akane despise each other, navigating life together under the same roof may just turn their bitter hatred into everlasting love. God damn it, this is one that's a manga and a light novel. That means the manga is like only slightly ahead of the anime at most probably. Well, if you couldn't tell, I actually had fun with this show. It's one of those shows where the style of it, the animation, the art, well, I'd say the animation more than anything, it's nothing special at all. Honestly, it's a slideshow a lot of the time, but honestly I didn't care. Right away though, the first couple episodes of the show, pacing, what pacing? Everything is breakneck as fuck. Over the course of 1 episode, 3 episodes will happen. A bunch of different arcs and stuff. Again, though a lot of the characters are nothing new, conceptually I liked it just in the sense that it reminds me of the More Than a Married Couple But Not Lovers show, where it's just like we jump to being married and living in the same house, but we kind of hate each other at the same time. We're kind of jumping all over the place in terms of progression, but I love this show because there's development. And there's kind of a theme with these romance shows in this season where the main girl kind of falls for the main guy and we follow that. I mean, it is kind of a harem-esque show just because like every girl that's introduced in this kind of likes the main guy in one aspect or another. I found myself enjoying the characters despite them kind of being based off of other stuff. Each of the characters, though they're an archetype, they had a certain aspect of them that was at least kind of different. Even the main Gyaru character, she's the Gyaru character, but she likes the main guy and she's so open about it. And, you know, a lot of that comes to the head when you go to the end of the first season. I am definitely going to jump into the manga, though I hate that I see that it's also a light novel, which means that the manga is only going to go so far. But hey, it's fun seeing the dynamics between the main guy, especially with Shisei, who's just such a character, honestly, and just navigating this ultimate Sun life of just this girl. It's like, oh, I hate you so much, but, you know, I love you at the same time. It's one of those shows where it's like you want to see the relationship progress, but then you forget what the name of the title is. I mean, the last line of the show is the girl being like, I hate you so much. There's progression. I like it a lot, honestly. It probably is one of my favorites of the series that have come out this season. And honestly, I give it, oh, fuck, do I dare? I'll be considerate. I'll give it an 8.5 out of 10. I was very tempted to give it a 9. I'll give it an 8.5. It's interesting to see that the average score was a 6, which means a lot of people did not like this show, which fair enough. I can't say that they're not valid in that, but I, for one, found myself enjoying it a lot, and I really want to see more of it. All right. Last ones we'll talk about. I'll talk about this first. Sakamoto Days. The denteren for this season, I would say. I probably should have reacted to this because I considered it. I was gonna. I just didn't. I ended up falling behind with a lot of other stuff, and well, that was the big thing with this season is I ended up waiting a lot longer to watch stuff than I probably should have. A lot of stuff was going on, but I eventually got to Sakamoto Days. But I will be honest, I was hooked initially with its concept, just this guy. He's a former crime boss guy. But then the most relatable part of this show was is just, he's this battle-hardened, like, crime syndicate guy, goes through his whole life just like, I'm dedicated to this. He goes to one convenience store, meets the cutest cashier lady, and it's just like, dung! Life over. It's like, yep, I'm giving up this life. I will say, though, a gripe I kind of have with that is the basis for their relationship. At one point, the relationship comes to a head and it's just like, okay, if you don't give up this life, I'm gonna kill myself. Which I don't necessarily agree with that. I at least like that it gets to a point where so much crime stuff is happening and people are coming after Sakamoto, where it's just like, my only problem is that you didn't tell me about it. There comes a point where there's no choice. I like seeing the relationship between him and Shin, as well as Lewd, when she comes into the story. It's fun character dynamics, all in the guise of running a convenience store. The animation and fight choreography also is really fun. Obviously, Sakamoto's character design is hilarious, but I love that whenever he does any physical activity, the weight just goes away, and then that's when he's serious. And I love that everybody who tries to fight him or kill him, they end up seeing what he sees. Just like, see, family is great, isn't it? It's not always about a life of killing. It's interesting that this season was only 11 episodes. Don't know why they couldn't just do an extra 12, because I imagine the second season is already in production. Oh wait, it's actually not going to be a second season. It's a part 2. It's a core 2. Of course it is. Coming out in the summer. Can't we just make longer seasons, dog? I gotta keep people hooked, but god damn it, whatever. It's a cute show, despite it being very bloody a lot of the time, and it's cool fights, cool animation. Overall, I give it a solid 9. Nothing to really hate. Characters are fun, voice acting, music, I love it all. I look forward to seeing more, even though I don't see the point in there being a part 2 that only comes out a couple months later, but hey yo, that's where we're at with anime these days. But all right, last 2 we'll talk about. I'll talk about this since it recently wrapped, that being ReZero Season 3 Part 2, or just, you know, the continuation of Season 3. What can I say about this? Obviously, I reacted to all of Season 3 week to week as it happened. I'm fresh coming off of the last episode. It was the ultimate culmination of the first 2 seasons so far, and also it's the prelude of even more to come in the future with Season 4. The second half of this season very much was action heavy and a lot of fights, but it was so good because it was fights that were earned, different character arcs coming to it. Again, though I have my gripes with how this season was released in terms of they just did 8 episodes and then 8 episodes. I would have been fine if they had the first episode be a 90-minute episode like how the first episode of the first part of the season was, but I get there's only so much they had, but despite it all, having the collective package of Season 3 now, it was great. The action was great, the animation, the production of this season was completely outdone for no reason, really. I already thought Seasons 1 and 2 looked pretty good, but now with this new style and the animation, a new standard for it has been set. And there were many points throughout this 3rd season where it nearly brought me to tears, as it did bring me to tears a couple times. It's just so earned. Like this show, ReZero, I'm so tsundere with it, as I talked about. When someone talks to me about ReZero, it's just like, oh, you like shows? Like, yeah, it's a pretty good show. But then like when I'm in it, actually watching, I'm just like, fucking hell, this show is fire. I love the characters, just seeing the journey, especially of like Subaru and all them, and then getting to these moments where just like they have their fight, the time they prove themselves. It's like every character had a moment to shine in this season. Some of them many moments, and I can't wait to rewatch it now, having all of it. 10 out of 10 for the season. Masterpiece. Loved it, and I can't wait for Season 4. But speaking of a masterpiece, there's still one more episode for this season to come out, but I still obviously want to talk about it. The 100 Girlfriends Who Really, Really, Really Love You Season 2. I love this series so goddamn much, and this season absolutely cemented it. This season had some of the story beats that I was looking the most forward to seeing, because again, if you don't know, I'm caught up with the manga. I read every chapter as soon as it comes out. I've done several videos talking about 100 Girlfriends. It is become one of my favorite romance anime and manga, anything of all time, just because it's the ultimate love letter to romance manga and anime and all that, just because it's every character archetype. It's committing to its title, the 100 Girlfriends, even though currently in the manga we're at barely over 30, I think. But it's so fun seeing the anime, like having read the manga and like catching up to that and seeing how they're handled. Just, I do kind of wish I reacted to this, you know, as the episodes were coming out. It's just so fucking funny, emotional. The introductions of Kurumi, Iku, Mei, Mimi, and Meme, all their stories are just handled so well, and just it translates amazingly to the anime. And just also the one-off stories. I mean, some of them I didn't even know were gonna be in this. Hahari's Evangelion hair transformation thing, which I'll be honest, I kind of preferred it more in the manga, but it was still cool to see it in the anime. And also currently the anime is doing the Tsundere Lost arc with Karane, which, oh, that's one of my favorite arcs. Weirdly enough, I think my favorite favorite episode so far was Iku's introduction episode, just because when I found myself watching that, I was like, God, this episode's paced so well, and it gave me a new appreciation for Iku that I don't think I had when I read her arc in the manga initially. Because to be fair, like, the arcs that are happening in the anime right now are arcs that I read a long time ago, so it's cool, like, playing catch up with that. But it is sad knowing, just seeing certain stuff in the manga that's happening right now, knowing that, yeah, the anime's probably never gonna get to this point, because the author himself said, just like, yeah, we'll probably do a couple seasons of the anime, but just imagining how many fucking voice actors they'll have to get and all that, it would be a production nightmare. That's why I think it could be fun for them to still do later stuff in the manga, but just like take bits and pieces of it at a time. Maybe not have a lot of the scenes where you have like every character doing something, because yeah, that would be hell. But you know, still do like maybe some of those fun one-off stories. It would be fun, but you know, that's for way later down the line. There's one more episode left of the season, and though we've been introduced to all of the girls that were going to be in this season, I'm kind of hoping this season ends on a cliffhanger. I have a vision in my mind for how it ends, and it would be a perfect setup for season 3. But I wouldn't be surprised if this ends in a way in which it's like, hey, there might not be a season 3, because who knows, because already this season had doubled the cast, and it's only going to introduce more. Like, each season's going to double the cast even more. I wouldn't be surprised if there's a longer hiatus, maybe. But if not, I really hope it cliffhangers in the way I think it does, where, you know, he opens the door and meets somebody who you wouldn't expect a zing to happen with. Join us for season 3, the incest arc. But yeah, safe to say, even though I haven't seen the last episode, I don't need to. Even from the first episode, season 2, 10 out of 10. 100 out of 10 for 100 girlfriends. But yes, that was the winter 2025 season. Not a whole lot that really rocked my world. The stuff that came out that I knew was going to be good was good. You know, Sakamoto Days, 100 Girlfriends, I'm Married to a Girl I Hate was a surprising show. Even the Okinawa show. And then obviously ReZero season 3 part 2 was phenomenal. But now we look to the future. What do we have to look forward to? All right, looks like we got Fire Force season 3. Gonna be honest, I don't really care. Ooh, yeah, this show, Lazarus. It's by the same creator as Cowboy Bebop and Samurai Champloo, Space Dandy. I'm actually gonna react to this show when it comes out because I watched a little bit of the trailer for it. It's by Mappa as well. I love the world of Cowboy Bebop and all that. Shinichiro Watanabe, yeah, he's the creator. Ooh, what? The second season of Aheran wa Hakarenai. Aheran is indecipherable. I actually really enjoyed that show. I'm surprised they're doing more of it. There's a lot of interesting romance stuff that looks like it's gonna be coming out. Okay, yeah, we're probably gonna have a lot to talk about next season. I know My Hero Academia Vigilantes is coming out. Why isn't that being shown on here? Because that's another show I'm gonna be watching week to week as well. Or, well, there's also this fucking show. Please put them on, Takamine-san. Yeah, we'll talk about that next time. Oh yeah, it's right there. The poster was throwing me off. But yeah, April 7th is when Vigilantes comes out, and I'll be watching that week to week. And April 6th is when Lazarus comes out. So Sunday, Monday, that's gonna be something. But I'm hyped for it. This season's gonna be good. The spring 2025 season, I can't wait. But either way, this was my winter 2025 anime binge cap. Let me know what you all watched down in the comments below and what you enjoyed and what you thought about the shows that I covered. And I hope you'll join me for many of these but the future anime reviews, reactions, gameplay, and everything else will be coming out soon. Thank you all for joining me on this. I'm Lancer. Thanks for watching.